everybody to leave your mics on.
Leave them on?
Yeah.
All right, but, can you guys hear me okay back there? All right, thank you. Good evening. I will now call to order September 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Ben Lapine School Board of Directors to order. I'd like to introduce our participants this evening. Vice Chair Amy Tatum, Directors Cameron Fisher, Jen Lynch, Ross Tomlin, Shirley Olson, Superintendent Dr. Stephen Cook, and Board Clerk Janet Bojanowski.
And Kinsey's the last minute ad.
And I'm sorry, Kenzie Martin, our Executive Director of Policy Advocacy and Equity. All right, thank you very much. And I am the Chair, Marcus LeGrand. At this time, would you please rise and remove your hats and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I know. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. We'll now move to agenda item number 3, review of the agenda. Dr. Cook, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda.
All right, following board members, are there any changes to the agenda? All right, thank you for that. Hearing no request for change to the agenda, we will proceed with the agenda as noticed. At this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Good to lead us in our work session.
Thank you, Chair LeGrand. Thank you all for participating tonight. We've got several items to go through. I want to start by asking you to commit a little more time. If you notice, we sent an email out a few days ago. We believe that we can get through what the board has stated both in meetings and in individual meetings, that we would like to take kind of a top to bottom review of all of our processes that include board goals, board ends, the governing policies, the operating agreements, and working all the way through the superintendent evaluation and contract status. We have analyzed all of that work, and we believe, and if you saw the agenda that we proposed on Friday, September 19th, that if we add 3 work sessions and commit every one of the work sessions of this year, adding those 3, that we can get through every aspect of that work. And so with your tacit approval, you don't have to take formal action on this. We would like to propose that we add the 3 dates that would be additional, would be October 28th, January 27th, and March 31st, along with the existing dates that are already proposed for the annual calendar. But we would love to get at least a head nod from you all that we could add those dates. We have proposed, if those dates are added, to do the following points of topic for the 7 total work sessions. Today, we're hoping to get through all of the governance process policies and the board superintendent operating agreements. And then we would spend 3 of those meetings working on board ends and board goals. And then 2 of the meetings on superintendent evaluation and policy regarding the evaluation. And if we even got to it, potentially even the process of the evaluation, getting that captured and tidied up. And then the last one would be to formalize the superintendent contract policy work. Not necessarily the superintendent contract, but at least the policy that sits above that. And so I'd like to start there with that proposal, hopefully with your consideration, seeking at least some head nods for you all, if there's any discussion on that.
Can you go through those dates again, just quick?
Yes, absolutely. I'll go through all 7 dates. The 3 proposed dates, the new dates, are October 28th, January 27th, and March 31st. All 7 dates are today, which is the September 23rd date. The October 28th would be 2nd. January 27th is 3rd. February 24th is 4th. March 31st is the 5th one. April 28th, the 6th one, and May 26th is the 7th.
So the 31st for March and May 26th, would they fall after holidays or before?
I'm sorry. say that again.
Holidays are, because we have spring break in there, don't we?
It's after the holidays, excuse me.
Cool. And then we got Memorial Day, right?
Yeah, it's the Tuesday
Is this in an email?
It is.
It is, okay,
Yes.
cool.
Which one was that? Because
September
I
19th.
need those dates. Okay, I'll go look. Thank you.
It was the board packet that came
Oh,
out on
yeah,
Friday.
okay.
I have extra copy.
I got them, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. And so even tentative agreement, if we need to make adjustments, we're glad to accommodate that, but would love for you all to give us the go-ahead to start planning for those. And that way we can start to build what we would say is the engagement process on getting those dates involved, so.
Sounds like we're in consensus, yes? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The second thing, before I turn it over, I want to talk a little bit about process. We shared with you a couple of documents today. You'll have this, everything I'm about to show you is either in your email or it's a part of the paper copy of the materials that we asked you to go through. The first one is a pretty simplistic, but yet I think very effective diagram of the work of the board and how it breaks from kind of mission values work at the top and works through the governance policies and the executive limitations all the way through what the board establishes as what the board wants to happen. And then what the superintendent's responsibility, and by that, anytime I use the term superintendent, I mean all of our team, how we intend to impact and change those goals with results and outcomes that we would be reporting on. One of the things that this board has had in the past is that we've also reported on executive limitations in the past. That is something that we are glad to continue if this board is so inclined. If we want to change that, we're also glad to do that as well. We've done both written reports and verbal reports, and so we can be extremely flexible with what we are hoping to get through in this process this year. And then the thing that I want to emphasize about this diagram is how you see we're working together on all these prospects. And so it would, I believe, I shouldn't say this, but as far as knowingly say this, but more like I anticipate that we would have to be a little more overt in these discussions every year once we've even come to these agreements, because we would like to memorialize what those processes look like so that it's clear and it sustains after any of all of us that are in these chairs would be replaced. And I think that's been something I've heard and has resonated, that seems important, just like we're memorializing processes out in the system all over the district so that it's clear what we stand for, how it lines up with our values, our equity stance, all the pieces that matter. Somewhat doing the similar thing with the relationships that exist between the board and the superintendent and the administrative team so that it's clear how everything is anchored in why, and that why is clearly articulated and captured on the record. The next document you have is a ChatGPT. We've been promoting this kind of stuff everywhere we go in the district. A ChatGPT of summary of Carver's policy governance model. I can tell you that book that I welcome you all to have was a part of my doctoral dissertation. I had it in a class. That is one of the hardest books to process in the whole wide world. At least my memories of it were really, really challenging because it is very dry and very straightforward. We are always glad to do more if we want to dive deep into that. We shoved the whole thing in and said, give us a general summary of Carver's policy governance model.
Cool.
And this is a ChatGPT version of that for your edification and for your interest. So if you have questions about that, we found this very beneficial and very useful. So we took it one step further. And it was, okay, now let's give application to policy governance model as it relates to what we are trying to accomplish in Benton Pine schools. And so if this I think, and it's funny, this design was designed by somebody who's colorblind, but is an amazing talent on Canvas. And so if the colors don't resonate with you, then that's kind of tough because she did her best in the colors that she chose. And I love these. The thing, let's start on the page that says BLS organizational workflow in policy governance. And so taking all of the aspects of Carver's model and start with, for example, mission, vision, values. The very first thing the board needs to do is set, what is our core purpose? Why do we exist? What is it that we want to accomplish? And how do we set the long-term expectations for what that's going to look like? That is a what that lives with the board. And we've done trainings with this, as you know. that is established by the board, and then the board has to find, and their responsibility is to find a superintendent that can connect with that vision and say, I want to be a part of that, and I want to line up with that because I believe I have the skill set of whoever you would have in that role that can deliver upon that. That's created by the board and then out and acted upon by the superintendent. Okay, the second level down is the board sets and establishes the role, the expectations of the superintendent, and establishes that contract. And you see that here. The what, it outlines the expectations, compensation, whether or not it's going to be renewed annually or it's going to be renewed every couple of years. In the state of Oregon, we're limited by a 3-year contract limitation. You can have a rolling contract if you wish. That's something that the state does allow. Who is that established by? That is established by the board in concurrence with the superintendent's agreement. And so this, as you know, this is your one and only employee. You have one employee, and that is the superintendent. Even the board governance supervisor, did I say it right? Is that
Oh,
board and governance?
Board and Governance Program Supervisor.
Board and governance super,
Former title. Yeah.
it
Mouthful.
is not, that is her title. She is not an employee of the board. And so that's, everything you think about from that point forward is run through the lens of, and think of, I often use the hourglass. Think of the superintendent sitting in the tightest spot of that hourglass, the board sitting above, everything else sits below the superintendent. The next one down is the organizational goals and ends. It answers the question, what is it that we want to accomplish? What is it that we wish to do? This is also where the board can influence what things are we going to push on to make those things happen. And this is also determined by the board through dialogue, just like this. And the superintendent's job is to go out and make that stuff happen. The executive limitations under Carver's model, it's one of the most unique standards of the Carver model is that it can be much more efficient and much more speedy because it explains to the community what the superintendent shall not do. Sets the boundaries, the edges, for example, and you'll see this on the back page. I'll give you an example of that as we go through the kind of the front page of this is kind of the concept. The back page is how that currently lives in our system. Those executive limitations are yours to own. That's set by the board and then it's expected to be adhered to and by the superintendent. Strategic initiatives, these are the ways that the superintendent and team tends to or believes we can meet the expectations of the board and the goals that the board has set out. It is directed by the superintendent, it's executed by the leadership team, our school administrators, and other staff across the district. The results and the outcomes, those are the measurements in advance of the organizational goals. These are the things that we say are going to be points of evidence of moving the needle on those expectations. This should always be an iterative process in which we are trying to work towards new and improved systems. These not all of these have to be quantitative assessment measures that are students' performance measures. But it is important that you do incorporate very clearly when you are expecting student measurements to be a part of it. It could be things like we want to implement an HRIS system that's going to capture efficiencies as well. Those are determined typically by the superintendent and then proposed to the board as here's how we intend to demonstrate that we are moving the path forward on the board ends and goals. And then the last part of this is the superintendent evaluation. Did your superintendent do the things that were expected of them by the executive limitations? Did they advance the organizational goals as established by the board? Did they also do what was asked of them if there were other goals that particularly might have been chosen by either the board or the superintendent in that agreement process for the evaluation? And if there is evidence of all of those things, then the board would reflect that in the evaluation of the superintendent. So what does that look like as it regards to how we function? So in Ben Lapine schools, if you go all the way up to mission, vision, values, right now, the examples we would promote and talk to people about are educating thriving students. Vision is every student will be known by name, strength, and need and graduates ready for college, career, community engagement, and life. The values are examining systems, affirming inclusion, amplifying voices, delivering outcomes, acknowledging impact, and honoring diversity. And if you remember, all 6 of those came out of our equity stance, which has been alive and well now for 4 years, 3, 4 years? I mean, at least captured formally. It's been farther back than that, but that's when we've said, no, this is what we stand for. Okay, so what does that mean as it relates to the organizational ends? And so those are in the second box: strong academic core, passion, purpose, plan. And forgive me, I am paraphrasing this because we have a lot more language in those captured officially. So wellness, inclusion, and belonging for our school communities and our staff, and efficient and sustainable systems to make this long-lasting and enduring, all the stuff we're asking people to do. The executive limitations, I'm not going to go over all of them, but let me go through one of them. For example, the superintendent shall not fail, right? There's that cannot, that language that is shall not fail, to ensure that the district implements a program of academic, social, and emotional instruction that includes clearly defined standards, a comprehensive and cohesive curriculum to help students achieve the standards, and the use of assessments to determine student progress towards achieving or exceeding standards in the board ends. And I would tell you, we know exactly what we're doing as it relates to those executive limitations, because I'm never going to, and a superintendent of any sound mind would never do anything that flies directly in the face of an executive limitation. Strategic initiatives, here's some examples: language arts adoption and implementation, multi-tiered system of support module adoption and creation. That MTSS module, remember, that's part of our early warning system. When a student, we don't want to wait till 9th grade on track comes out to determine whether or not we've got kids where they need to be in their learning progression. And so we want to have an early identification system that is consistent and reliable across all of our schools. That's still a work in progress. Stakeholder engagement advancement, we've made that a priority after last year. We went out, actually it goes back a couple of years, but we have the number and different ways. In fact, tomorrow morning, headed to South County with bagels and cream cheese to start our very first advisory meeting of the year. And so that's a commitment we made with our stakeholder engagement. Sustainable and efficient payroll, HR position, control systems. You don't think those things matter? Watch what happens if we miss a payroll. Last but not least, the results outcomes. Here's an example of the kind of things we were talking about: second grade reading outcomes, achievement and cohort growth, graduation rates, youth truth outcomes. Do our people tell us they enjoy being in our schools? Who doesn't enjoy being in our schools? How are we tracking that? Bend High construction completion. It seems like something pretty easy, but I promise you, if that thing's not on time and on budget, you're going to hear about it, and I'm going to hear about it. Implementation progress of all the initiatives that we have, and as they migrate through stages of implementation, because many of the things that we're talking about, I can't expect, nor would you want to wait for 6 or 7 years to evaluate me on how we're doing on each of those things. So I give you this. This was a really important part of our discussion, so that there was an anchor text, anchor document on how we want to establish stepping into what do you like about how we're doing this, what do we like about the alignment, and then do all the documents that we have that support this align with what we're hoping to accomplish. I'm going to stop and take a deep breath and answer any questions before we move into specifics today.
So Steve, when were those executive limitations developed?
Before I got here, I think 2016 was generally.
15, I think 15.
15?
Yeah.
And I would tell you that we've added a couple between 2015 and I think, let's just say now, I don't know exactly. I think there was a couple that were modified. And we spent, early in my tenure, we spent some time kind of going, okay, look, we've got to get nothing lined up at all. And we were trying to get things a little more tidy so that the board knew, because if all you ever were governed by were executive limitations, don't do the following things, then there was never, well, what are you doing? And then how are you reporting on that? And that we spent a lot of time in my first 2 years getting that tidier.
And we haven't, in my tenure, had this discussion before.
Correct.
So that, all of a sudden I'm in board meetings and we're talking about executive limitations. I'm going, huh?
Yeah, I think a couple of them were updated in 2023.
Yeah, I think so.
But like the foundational documents predate my time on the board.
Yeah, so, this is the work that we need to be doing.
Yeah, I'm excited that you
totally
all are
agree.
interested in this. What else? What other questions? Okay, so let's talk about the GPs. If we feel like we've got a good, like this was my, if you will, my mini lesson to get you prepared for all the work of the year, right? When we're finished, What we're going to have is alignment between, what we hope to have is alignment between executive limitations, board ends, a superintendent evaluation process, result and outcome tracking mechanisms, perhaps even if the board is interested, things like dashboards on reporting things. Some of that might be something that there is an interest in producing. And having a system for how we capture all of that and establish this is what it sustains as, and this is how it would endure for Ben Lapine Schools for many years to come. So the very first step would be what I would call the GPs, the governance policies, and the operating agreements that are the foundational agreements that exist between the board members and the superintendent and the individual board members with each other. And so you are given an assignment to go through the GPs. Now, I want to talk about this assignment because I want to make sure you understand how this was done and then what you need to bring into the room today. Because what you have in front of you, if you submitted comments, are a record of what your comments were. No one else in the room knows your comments but you. We do because we gathered it all up for you. And now the process is, and that was important that we did it that way because we did not want to create what would be, in fact, a serial meeting. The technology capture of your comments was so that we had it on the record, so that you could come in, bring it into this room, and that we could meticulously go through every single GP, and you could bring up particular comments, concerns, questions, things you liked, things you didn't like, so that we can walk out of here with policies that align with what this board is seeking to change. And in a perfect world, you would have that conversation right here in front of these microphones, on front of the cameras, and it would be clear for the three of us what it is that you want captured for all GPs 1 through 6 and for the operating agreements. And then we would bring those back finalized and in tidy shape for you all to take action on at the October meeting. So we can get them turned around, we believe, that quick, unless this is a whole rewrite today, which could be an interesting dialogue as well. If we get to a place where we gum up on one or more, that's okay. We're gonna still try to get whatever we can get done, and then we'll continue to bring those back until we find a time to get at least 4 of you to say, I agree, this is exactly what we want. So any questions on that? Yes,
So is the printout of the summary worksheet just for our reference?
yes.
I was envisioning maybe it was going around and we were going to be commenting or something, just for our
Yeah,
personal.
it's for your personal
In case we
reference.
forgot what we.
It is, the hardest part that when we were developing this is you can't do all the things you could do in a classroom because we're bound by public meeting law. And so I would love nothing more than for each of you to be able to see each other's comments. And we can do that now if you want to share or talk about it or even show people because we're in public session. But we couldn't find a way to get that done without creating
Serial
a serial meeting, so. And Kinsey is here because Kinsey is very intimately involved with policy language, and she's gonna help us, guide us, and participate, and be one of our experts. She's gotta live up to that, right? Yeah,
She was just told this afternoon, so.
so.
She's ready.
So with what I'd like to do is to open it up now, and I would suggest that we just start with GP1, and we just start a dialogue, and you all talk about it. And what we hope to have is when we get done with one, we know exactly what it is that you like and what you don't like, so that if we can make proposed changes, and then we can bring that back to you in a couple of weeks.
And then just a reminder that the documents, the original documents that you were given, the red line copies, those are either just cleanup language from, aligning with current district practices, or updates from OSBA sample policy incorporating that, so.
Yeah, I was gonna ask where all the edits came from.
Yeah, so like on GP1, for example, it's just, cleaning up, changing the word citizens to families. That's just, district practice. That's how we're changing our policies. But on other ones, you'll see a lot of redlining,
Right.
and that was from OSBA sample policies.
Like a whole paragraph in and out.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, half a page.
Yeah.
We added some things in some of
Yeah.
these, so.
And a reminder, a lot of these haven't been touched since 2015 or 16 when they were written. So there were a lot of changes that have come through.
And also looking at the fact of looking at the current climate, we have to look at language and what's in them. A lot of it's based on funding too. So that's what we're looking at as well, so.
Okay.
And go.
So we're jumping into GB1.
Yeah,
Let's jump into GP one, and our goal is by 7:30 tonight, we would love you to get through all GPs 1 through 6 and the operating agreements.
Okay.
I had no concerns or revisions.
I had a few, not huge ones. One is in the governance commitment that we refer to just one article rather than like the broader Carver model. And so I was kind of like, should we put that article in there or should we say this is an example? And like you and I have talked about, Dr. Cook, like we follow kind of a modified Carver model. So should we be calling that out there? Because I've read many Carver books and pamphlets and it is a lot, but I do think we do more than just this 4-page summary. So I feel like that should be clarified a little bit,
By using the term modified.
something, and
Yeah.
as exampled in this article.
Okay.
I also really don't love number 1, where we say the board is responsible for excellence in governing. Like that to me just seems kind of superfluous and a little bit cheesy. The same way
said the
down.
same thing, too.
Yeah, the same way down in bullet point 3, we say the board will lead and inspire the district. I'm like, we lead the district. I'm not a superhero. I would really love that inspire line to go away because it just, like when I read it, I was like, okay, I don't know how you guys feel if we inspire. If that
We
needs
could
to
do
be
a
in there.
survey to find out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine if someone thinks I'm
No, you're fine.
inspirational,
No, you're
but
fine.
I don't love that word in there. And then point 5, the board will monitor its progress and performance on an annual basis. And I'm not sure if that's getting at self-evaluations, which I know is in one of the other GPs, and we don't do that either.
That was a question I had,
So
yeah.
number 5 to me seems like it should be a delete.
Hold
Those
on.
were my comments.
In terms of the delete piece, I wouldn't say personally delete. I would say more or less, we need to come with a process and should we do that?
Well, but should we monitor ourselves? Like, what does that add to us, especially when one of the other GPs goes through our qualifications and job description? So it's already pretty clear of what we have to do.
Right.
And I've never been someone that thinks a self-evaluation is particularly useful. It just seems like work that doesn't actually add any benefit to the district.
I think it's important for self-reflection.
Yes, but is it a formal evaluation process?
That's the thing.
And what happens with that evaluation?
What happened when we last did it? Carrie collected it all and
And nothing came of it.
so it was.
Well, can I add also that the question I think that's truly here is is this a part of your governance commitment and style? Or is this something that lives in a future GP, in one we're gonna talk about in a
Yeah.
minute?
Because
Does
it's
it
in a
live?
different one.
Does it
Yeah,
live
it's
in,
in
in whether or not you want to continue with that process? I think it's a good and healthy thing to do. Does it need to live in what you're kind of saying? This is almost like if you think of GP1 as kind of like, this is our commitment. This is how we're going to step into this work. Does that need to be here? And I can see, it can be argued both ways.
Yeah,
I
think
think
it
it
should
should
be
be.
in there.
I think it should be in there.
Yeah. I
because
do
it's
too.
part of the
It's the part that I like.
It is a commitment.
And
that
it
we're
is a
making.
commitment, and it is not so specific that we can't alter the process in one of the other policies.
But I do have one of my things that really gets to me is if we say we're gonna do something and we don't do it, that annoys me. So if we're gonna say we're gonna do this
it
on an
once.
annual basis,
Yeah.
we need to do it.
What if we take out on an annual basis and we just leave the board will monitor its?
Well, then it may not ever happen.
Right.
you know,
I
so,
think it is important to have a point in time.
Yeah, I do too.
The process, remember, the process is talked about in another GP.
It
Right,
is.
yeah, we
You
know.
could put a time bound to that if you want. And if you're saying, we don't do this, should it be in there? But if you want to do this, then you should state that.
Well, every board I've been on or associated with did have a self-evaluation process, so I think it's been valuable in the situations I've seen. so.
I think it does give the board, gives an opportunity to every board member to say, here's something that I think we need to think about, talk about, here's something I think we did really well, here's something the next time it comes up, maybe we need to think through a different process. So it doesn't have to be a 7-page document where, and it doesn't have to be the OSBA, model.
Right.
But I do think that an annual self-assessment is critical. And I think that commitment says the board will review what they have done and not done.
And in my opinion, I've been talking to a lot of the board members across the country, and many of them are going to different models when it comes to this self-evaluation because they think it's critical. Because as things shift in terms of public education, they need to make sure that they have things protecting them as well. And if that evaluation is part of that, that's what they're looking to do, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it
If
lives
you all
in
are,
GP5.
right.
if you all are committed to this, one of the things we could build is a proposed spot in the annual calendar as to when the board would take this process.
That's my suggestion in
Yeah.
GP5,
Okay.
that it gets built into the calendar
As a work session.
as a work, as something, yeah. But that it gets built in.
But for clarity, you like it in this as well,
I do, it's a
because
commitment.
it's part of the commitment and style of board governance for this board.
I agree.
I'm fine with that too, yeah.
Okay, I want to go back to you said something was superfluous and you said something was cheesy.
So
Inspire and,
the board will be
I got the
responsible
Inspire
for
one.
excellence in governing. That line to me just kind of seems like,
So tell me what you're suggesting.
because obviously we're gonna be excellent in our governing, so why do we have to say that? I mean, we're not gonna write like, we're gonna be mediocre in our governing.
Not all boards are.
That's true.
Yeah, we can leave it in there. I was a writer once upon a time, so when I read that, I'm like, oh, that just seems awkward. Especially because the next line is the board will use their expertise. And to me, expertise also implies excellence.
Well, I'm not arguing against you. I want you to be reminded that
Yeah.
when we write policy, even for the system,
Yeah.
we're not writing it for the people that follow the rules, 99% of the time. All it takes is a rogue board member. And if you can point to something that is like, are you really doing your best work here and what your particular approach might be? And so glad to hear if you've got a suggested modified.
To me, that would just be a delete.
Okay.
Like, do we need that line at all? Because we're saying we're using our expertise, which expertise implies a deep base of knowledge and not just making stuff up.
I think the general message of one, listen to me telling you guys how to do your job.
I mean, I
The
like the
general-
rest of it, I
the-
just don't love that line.
The general message of one
Yeah.
is to separate the authority of the board as a whole and an individual comment of an individual board member, and whether or not there needs to be clarity. And I think that's the most critical part of number one, is to clearly articulate that the board as a whole has a lot of power. An individual board member has no power. So how do you capture that so that you get that language?
But I think it's captured in the rest of one in the bullet
Okay.
points.
Anything else? Any other
So it
comments?
starts
yeah,
where?
I have, okay.
So
Are
you-
we
so
ready
you
to
have the
move on to
first
that?
sentence.
That would be mine. I don't love the first sentence. I think the rest of it, because we talk about we won't use individual judgments, we respect the full board, we will
But
exercise
again, this is like,
honesty.
this is like the umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so in order for other things to come up in the other governing policies, I think it's important to have the umbrella
of
I agree,
excellence
and
in
I think
of
government.
it also
excellence in
connects-
governing, which means we know what our role and job is.
And what we strive for, and I think that connects to commitment and style, which, going back to Shirley's original comment.
And I think we just today have to make a statement that we do believe in excellence of what we're doing, so. I like it.
What if, because this is the governance commitment, what if the board will commit to excellence in governing?
Yeah, I think that's better
Yeah,
than
I like
responsible.
that.
That's
Great.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And if you don't like the word excellence, maybe there's something.
I don't dislove the word excellence, but the board will be responsible for
you want
excellence in
just-
governing. It
Great.
just was like,
Yeah, I get it.
It sets a precedent, I think.
There you go.
for
yeah, but I think a commitment is better than
The responsible.
Yeah.
responsible.
Good.
Good.
Because obviously we're responsible for excellence in governing, and we should be, right? Otherwise you shouldn't be on the board.
There.
You hope.
You're right.
Director Olson, what do you had? You had something? Thank you.
Yeah, I have one other thing, in the first line. I don't like listing staff, students, families. It's not just that to whom we are accountable. We are accountable to all constituents. And there are two governing policies that it's the same line. I can't remember right now, but it's in one of them. And the same thing, it needs to be constituent. And then in the third governing policy.
What needs to be constituents?
The word
Director Earl?
families.
The word family.
Yeah, instead of families.
Community
Well, in-
members, Community members?
I like constituents because we are elected officials. And in the third one of the policies, the governing policies, it does use the word constituents. So, and again, so that's kind of working through using the same kind of language.
Yep, no, and I agree with that, because if we say families, then it sounds like we're excluding anyone who doesn't have kids in the district.
Right, yeah.
Or doesn't have a relationship, but as a body that is responsible to all of our taxpayers.
Yes.
We shouldn't narrow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
But there
agree with
was
that.
obviously a reason that, I saw it in several places, the citizens was crossed out and changed to families. I don't know why.
Because everyone in the United States is not citizens who actually live and pay taxes here.
That was a pretty
Okay,
That's a
substantial,
Pay taxes.
that was a pretty substantial
wow.
effort on our part when I first got here, that it was actually educating thriving citizens. And we wanted to make sure to delineate that we're a sanctuary state. We're going to educate every
Right,
student that walks through the front door.
Cool.
And we're going to be as respectful and engage with every family that is in our community, regardless of citizen status.
Yeah, it's good.
And Shirley, I was thinking the same thing in terms of this. I know you probably have more, but instead of just saying families, let's say families and constituents, but I just like constituents better. Definitely, yeah.
Yep.
Okay?
What is the formal definition of a constituent? Only because does it imply someone who can vote?
No, it's just someone who lives in the.
Great, perfect.
You know, the.
Lives
zone.
in there.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any
Yeah,
sort of.
counts kids.
Yep, yep,
Did we get one done?
yep.
Wow.
No, we were on
you had
number
one more.
3, lead and inspire.
I just don't love the inspire part. Like,
Amy does not want
the
to
district.
inspire anybody.
I can inspire
I'm fine
people.
either way, I don't.
It's just, I don't love that line. I don't know.
Inspiration is part of leading. It's probably redundant.
Exactly, it just
Wanna
seems,
strike it?
yeah,
So we're going to lead the district?
Yeah,
yes.
what's it leaving?
Through the careful establishment, yeah, that's fine.
Shirley, do you have anything else? Were you done? I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. Director Lynch, you good?
I'll save my comments for future policies.
She has strong opinions
I'm
on
gonna
it.
get the first one out the way first, yes.
Okay, let's move it.
Is there anything else on GP one before we move forward? All right, thank you, Dr. Cook. Go ahead.
All right. GP2 is board member qualifications, and effectively, this is your job description.
Can we say job description because we don't get paid?
That's a good point.
Can we say responsibilities?
Yeah, so my thought was, there's actually two things smashed into one here. One of which is qualifications, and there's a lot that goes into qualifications. And those qualifications continue once you're here. And then there's something else that is our responsibilities. And I agree with you, it's not a job description, it's responsibilities. And those responsibilities flow from statute, which is not referenced a whole lot in this policy as it is written. And they flow from our, you know, our agreements. So, yeah, that would be I think that this one feels awkward because it's two. One of them is our qualifications, and the other one is, what are we actually supposed to be doing here? And so that to me is why it like reads a little weird, because it sort of jumps back and forth between the two. And then there's parts of those, you know, like in the next one, in GP3, we go back to like what happens when someone resigns.
And
It sounds
this is
all, like all
vacancies
of that
in the board.
probably belong, I think it just in one place. How do you get here? How do you stay here? What happens if something goes wrong?
Okay, can we start with the board member qualifications then? Are you seeing that as the top 3 paragraphs?
Yeah, I think that's the top 3 paragraphs, and then it like jumps down, and then there's a vacancies section that I think also goes with that.
With qualifications?
So can I ask a structure question?
Yeah.
Is it safe to assume what you would like to see is, let's do a comprehensive written description of qualifications?
I think we already have one. I mean, it's the
And
first
then
2
a-
paragraphs, and then vacancies, and then there's chunks of it here, like on GP3, it says, you know, we're gonna run a background check on them. That probably goes there. And then in GP3, it's like, what happens if there's a resignation? That probably goes there. And then there's what happens if there's a violation that talks about removing members of the board. That probably goes there.
Well, and to be fair, I did get a cheat and see some of your comments
Yeah.
before. There is a little overlap between
Right.
GP2 and
And
GP3.
Exactly,
Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
think it's all one thing
One
that's
big thing.
about who's here and why.
Yeah, because I'm like you, Director Lynch, it was just, when I was reading this, I was going, wait a minute, we can combine these two.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the second one, I was going responsibilities, and you got responsibilities and job description over here, but we don't have a job. You got elected, so it's different, and I understand the statute piece too, but a lot of it's not set in law, but that's another story, we can get into that. But, yeah, I like it too, I like the combination. I think there's some things we can definitely, I'm not saying we gotta get rid of one or two, but we can find a way to combine them, like we did, during bargaining. Combine certain pieces.
Okay, so in just kind of jumping ahead, because 3 has the word
Responsibility.
in the title, we would pull out this center section where it says the job of the board of directors, all the way down to bullet point 6, and throw that back over into GP3.
Makes sense.
Director Lynch, is there any other pieces that you wanted to get switched over? And then what about the rest of the paragraphs?
There's 2 references that I'd still like to pull in the constituents.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
In the 4th paragraph and in bullet point number 2.
And I think that 4th paragraph is like, that's a different, the board member responsibilities, that 4th paragraph goes with board member responsibilities.
I'm lost.
Oh, the job of the board of directors is to represent the families of Ben Lapine schools. Where it says, I see why it's here, because this was supposed to be the job description.
But she just said moving that.
Yeah, but
that
I
whole
sort of feel
chunk
like
to-
that's actually its own thing. Like, there's qualifications and there's a job description. And we can do them, we can put them both in here if we want, it's fine. I just would like to put them like, all the qualification things in one place, and all the job description things in one place.
So what I heard originally was taking out, starting with paragraph number 4, all the way down to bullet point 6,
And putting that
and put
into its
that
own.
over into GP3 for now.
Yeah, for now, sure.
Okay,
And
so
then-
we're working on the 3 blue paragraphs at the top,
Yeah,
and then the vacancies on the board paragraph at the very bottom. So that would be our new GP2 titled Board Member Qualifications.
And if we want to put constituents,
And
like,
we can pull other items when we get to 3 over into 2.
We can move
but-
stuff back in there.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
okay.
let's just focus
And then on, so that's fine, and then on the vacancies thing, I would like I would like it to say, does it say that they have to yeah, okay, no, I think this is okay, actually.
Was there anything you want to add? Because think about it, you and Ross just went through the experience, all of us had, because you both.
Jen did.
Jen did, and it was Ross, but then Jen was part of the interview process, but my thing is, Director Lynch was part of the interview process, excuse me. Was there anything y'all want to add in that vacancy piece? Because there maybe is something that we may not have seen or overlooked. Because we were board members at the time, you all weren't, excuse me.
So it would have been Cameron and Ross.
Ross, right. So Cameron and Ross, I'm sorry.
Went through the vacancy process.
And you're asking what?
But Jen, didn't you also
She applied,
didn't interview?
she interviewed.
Okay, yeah, so they all,
That's right.
I had,
Yeah,
yeah, they've all
They've all
Three
interviewed.
of ours,
And
that's
Keena,
right.
right.
have interviewed, so if you have.
Yeah, and there, I mean, and it was a thing, that there was no written filling a vacancy process, it just says, the board will determine the procedures to be used in filling the vacancy.
yeah.
So if that's cool, if we wanna leave it like that, like every time we have one, we're just gonna wing it, that's fine.
But I
Well,
think that's in
we didn't
there.
wing it.
No,
We had a very robust process.
And
If
the
you guys,
board voted on
Yeah.
the process.
it's voted on.
and so
at a
if you
board meeting.
want to capture that in something like this, we can definitely do that.
Is that in the OSBA policy sample? I can't remember.
The filling of the
For
vacancy?
2, yeah.
I don't know that it
No,
was.
that came from past experience
Okay.
and how other districts were doing it.
Okay,
OSBA doesn't recommend putting a strict, like, thou shalt
Right.
follow this procedure.
Yeah, I don't
Because
think
the
that's a good
board,
idea.
the board can
Right.
say, you're it, they can appoint somebody.
we did have the opportunity to say that
Correct,
at one point,
Yeah.
that we were not going to fill the position
exactly.
until the next election. We did, remember?
Yep.
We did, yeah, we did have that flexibility.
Or
With
you-
this, we would not have that flexibility,
And the board
correct?
can absolutely
Right, that's
just
the thing.
pick somebody and appoint them. I mean, they would vote on it, but you don't have to go through the advertising.
Remember, it's the vote of the board
Yeah,
that serves as the process.
Yeah, and if someone resigns, I mean, the problem with putting it, I think, Director Lynch more formally in like a specific process is if someone resigns right before an election and we say we have to appoint someone within a month or two, we may be bound by something we don't want to be bound by, or something that could feel like we're in a violation of our constituents and not giving them the voice to vote. So.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, I think statute does a really good job of describing like those, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we don't have to actually think through some of this stuff, it's literally
Yeah.
written in statute, like, we just do what it says. And not think about it so much. I guess the other thing was like, this is all about like board vacancies, not necessarily resignation. Oh, I'm seeing, now I'm jumped ahead to GP3, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, but there's lots of, again, like in statute, there's lots of ways that vacancies can be created. Like, if somebody dies, like that's that is a vacancy. We need to follow a process. Like, statute does a better job of sort of describing, like, these are the conditions in which you have a vacancy. They do include not showing up to meetings for 4 months in a row. Like, there is stuff in there that is
So-
not captured
Should
in
we-
our vacancy policy. Our
should we-
policy just
should
says
we reference
resign.
the statute? Or should we just reference the statute that we go by a certain statute?
It would
like
be
if it's
less
written
work.
down?
It would be less work. It would be less work for us to just do what the,
So filled in accordance with.
yeah,
Vacancies.
and vacancies created in accordance with, too.
I would tell you, as somebody who has to bargain all the time, be careful by putting too specific language.
Yeah.
If it's already captured in
Somewhere
a
else.
statute,
Then
you can
yeah.
reference that
Yep.
if you wish. But you don't have to reference it if you don't want to, because the reference,
'Cause then we're bound.
reference doesn't change the
bound,
fact that
you're
you're
correct,
governed
you're
by
bound.
that statute.
It's true. It just is like, we don't have to write as much if it's like, vacancies in accordance with Oregon law and.
But I don't think there's a lot of detail in this right now. Like, I think
I
it is
like that.
intentional.
And
No,
I don't
agree.
think we
And
want a
it gives
lot
us
of detail.
liberty and I.
Yeah,
think it's
I
important.
don't know that I feel like we need
No.
to change that part of it.
You
We'll
want some
serve until June
flexibility.
30th,
Yeah.
and then we'll be sworn in at the next board meeting. That's pretty specific.
Can I suggest something?
I think it has to say that.
You feel like
Yeah.
you've got the job qualifications piece good
That's what I was
right
gonna
now.
ask.
And we're moving.
I had
So-
one comment on paragraph 5.
Okay, let me do one thing first, and then we'll.
Yeah.
We're, right now, we're changing the job to the responsibility in paragraph 4, and everything all the way through 6 is gonna be moved to GP3, correct? And so you have one edit. What I'm trying to do is, let's jump to GP3, and if we finish GP3 and we wanna come back to GP2, because what I want you to feel like is both GP2 now are clear and clean, and GP3 is clear and clean.
Mine is, I
Yeah.
think, a pretty small edit.
Okay.
It's just because in paragraph 5, we say the board will operate within all legal requirements and is responsible for the hiring of the superintendent, adoption of the annual budget, and ratification of collective bargaining agreements. But we operate in a policy governance model, so we also are adopting and reviewing policy, and we just don't call out that we do policy in there. So it seems like we should add our role in policy adoption and review.
But that's gonna go in GP3.
If this paragraph is moving there, but I feel like this paragraph needs to say, because we don't just hire
Yeah.
the superintendent, adopt an annual budget, and ratify
Right.
collective bargaining agreements.
Yeah, we're moving that. So this one will wind up
Okay.
being qualifications.
Yep.
Correct?
And also don't forget, where we said job, instead of saying job, it's gonna be responsibilities in
Yep.
paragraph
Yep.
4. The other question I had was, that was it. We're fine. I'm good.
So the first 3 paragraphs are
Stay.
good as they
No,
stand.
I have
Okay.
I'm sorry. So that last sentence in the first paragraph, it says, each member elected to a position of the board will be elected for a term of 4 years. I was not. I was elected to a term
Oh.
of 2 years.
Because of the vacancy.
Right, so
Yeah.
I think that just needs to be changed to say, maybe the
Unless
term
vacancy.
is for 4 years. But don't say each board member is elected to a position for 4 years.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
'Cause you
yeah,
could
yeah.
fill a vacancy for 2 years.
You could just say an elected with Oregon statute, dot, 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 dot.
Yeah, and then that covers it.
Because then depending on when you're elected, if you're appointed, et cetera.
Right.
Yep.
Or you could say typically 4 years
So we're ready to
but
move
always
through.
in
The
accordance.
term is 4 years, right, but it's,
Yeah, but not everyone gets
Right.
4 years.
Elected to a position.
You feel like you got it?
You could just do typically elected for a term of 4 years.
So we're moving to GP3? Is there
Well,
one
make sure
grade to
she's
move to
ready.
GP3?
We don't go till she says yes.
No, that's what we're asking.
Okay, and then, so vacancies on the board stays with qualifications. Did we decide what we wanted to do with that? Do we wanna
It
keep
sounds like nothing.
the language?
Nothing. I think we're keeping it. That's what I've been hearing.
I think it's fine the way it is.
So now,
Could we just change maybe, could we call this section board member vacancies instead of board member resignation?
where are we at?
So you
We're
say
still
combine,
on-
so you take the word off and just combine the two?
Yeah, I'm just like that, that thing that you were just talking about, moving from GP3 over to GP2.
Oh, I'm still on two.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Yeah,
on,
sorry,
I'm
I was
on,
on vacancies.
sorry.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay.
Well, on
right
GP3,
here.
there's a whole other chunk about vacancies. Yes. Yeah, got
Yeah,
it.
it sounds
Okay.
like I'll have some cleanup work to do there, but
Yeah,
so.
so maybe that, hold that, the little subtitle goes out and then it's all the.
Okay, so
yes.
now we're moving on to 3, which has a really, really lovely long title. Okay. So incorporating the language that currently lives in 2, that starts with the job, also now
Job
the
of the board.
responsibility of the board. Does this start GP3?
I think so. I think like having a, one of them that is like, here is what your job is.
Okay.
With a list of stuff that is our job, again, according to statute and all of our policies and regulations in a nice list. And our, our like, and then that list itself, like, is advocacy our number one job? I mean, it doesn't actually even show up in Oregon statute. It would, number one job would say,
Hire the superintendent.
hire and manage superintendent. And then it would say pass a budget.
Yep.
And then it would say,
Well, that's
Adopt
paragraph
curriculum.
5 on,
adopt
Adopt
curriculum.
curriculum.
yeah, and that's
and
paragraph
policy.
5 on 2, which is
Yeah, and it's
also-
like, blah, blah, blah,
and also,
whereas
yeah,
if you read this, you would say our number one, the first part of our job is to advocate and then to interact with students. So are those two things? I mean, so I would argue that this list should flow from statute first and from our policies. And then down to things like advocacy and interaction.
But I think that comes in 4 or 5.
Okay, so let's come back.
Yeah, let's go.
The document that's currently titled GP2,
Okay.
the middle section, where it says the responsibility of the board of directors, that has been now up to bullet point 6, is now the beginning of GP3? Is that where we're all at?
I'm just all to make
Well,
sure.
but the first paragraph in GP3 is like, it's honestly like the commitment. It's like GP1.
Yeah.
So do we not like
It's an
that?
umbrella thing. Well, I
Or
think
do
it's
we-
kind of important, but I wouldn't,
I agree.
Okay,
I would suggest that the first 2 paragraphs stay the first 2 paragraphs on
Yes.
GP3.
yes, and then put the other in.
And then put the responsibilities in as a
I agree.
subcategory right there. The social media should be the very last thing.
Thank you.
Or take it out or something.
do
Yeah,
something
it's
else with
just
it.
like so weird.
Most
The
of them
social
think
media.
There was
I
a
think
reason. It
There
I'm
was-
sure.
It was the only
needed to
reason
have
was in
It
there.
got
Trust me, I
added
hear
during
that.
There was.
You got COVID, that was one of the
There
ones.
was a reason it was there, and it should stay there because some of us remember that time and why we needed that policy.
Sure. And it's the same with like the super long public
you know
comment
that.
thing, like,
Yeah.
And
I
that
know they're there.
also needs to be there because, yeah.
Let's remind them.
So that really reflects best practice,
Yes,
and that's fine.
yes.
We agree that that's important.
I would suggest that the 3rd paragraph, as it stands right now on this document,
Push down.
if a board member chooses to create social media, should be moved to where the social media guidelines start.
Yes.
Yes,
good.
right in the front of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
And all the violation piece and the resignation piece, I think we can look at trying to take it over to the job qualifications, but we'll get to that in a minute.
So I just have a question about that, the word in the first paragraph on GP3, where it says demonstrate loyalty to the district's stakeholders. For
I
some reason, I
highlighted
don't
that.
like the word loyalty.
I don't either, and
Yeah.
for me, fidelity felt better, because loyalty implies like,
No matter what.
I just do it, whereas fidelity is, I am loyal, but also I'm not gonna violate my own values.
Or I said, you know, maybe act in the best interest of the district stakeholders or something like that.
Yeah.
but Not loyalty.
Yeah, I was looking at loyalty as well.
Yeah, no, that was,
The whole thing could be struck also.
So then, if the next thing that happens then is these parts from GP2, where it says, the job of the Board of Directors is to represent the of Ben Lapine Schools by providing visionary leadership through policy and practice that ensures the best possible education for students with respect to local, state, and national excellence. I mean, that's all fine. Again, statute would say, our job is hire the superintendent with a 3-year contract. Contract with all district employees, set policies, schedule the school year. So I'm okay with like the sentence about vision as long as it's followed up by a very clear listing of what we actually are supposed to be doing.
yeah, well, and that's my problem with that paragraph 5 on GP2, is that we do 3 things, but we don't do 3 things. There are other things we do that are not explicitly called out, like policy adoption, curriculum adoption.
Yep. And, and so I picked through every single policy, looking for every mention of what our responsibilities are, and have a pretty long list. It includes evaluation of the superintendent, passing a budget, that's in fiscal management, approving the hiring of the district's CFO, that's in fiscal management, approving the sale of real estate, that's in fiscal management, making sure we do an audit every year, that's in fiscal management. Like, all this stuff is in our policy as our responsibilities. And if we're gonna take it, I mean, if we're gonna take it out later, that's fine, but like, that is all part of our job. Ensuring the safety and the fidelity of our district's buildings is in there. Under that, floating bonds is our responsibility according to policy. Prioritizing maintenance and renovation through and within the budget process is in our policies. Determining and approving curriculum with input from the administration is in our policies under instruction, and it also is explicit to us in statute. And then approving instructional materials, also our job according to policy.
So are you suggesting listing all of that in here?
Kinda. I mean, or maybe it's like, does the things that it says that they're supposed to do in our policy? I
I
don't
mean,
know.
because right now we list 3 specific things, and it makes me feel like that's all we do.
Yeah.
So do we strike it? Do we?
Did I find all of them, is the other question, right? Like,
But you gotta look at it too, but
So number one,
Yeah.
be careful that you don't create something that now is a burden.
no,
Right.
Right.
Sure.
And
I didn't create anything. I literally just
Hmm.
searched the documents for what the board is responsible for.
The way that we would, if we were in writing CBA language, we would say, the board will honor every responsibility as codified in Oregon statute.
Sure.
Something
And-
like that.
And Ben
policy.
Lapine
And
Schools
but- and
policy.
that's
Just
clear in
policy.
GP1, that the board sets the policy of which the board, if the board says, we don't like Carver policy model, all it takes is 4 of you to say, we're gonna go a different direction, right?
Yep.
I don't think we're there yet.
I also,
Might be in the
I mean, and
future.
so to that end, like, it's okay if the list isn't there, but Amy's right. The list, there's kind of a list, and it's a partial list.
Yeah, so instead of a
We'll
list,
acknowledge
let's do the,
that it's partial, that's fine. Or we make an actual
Such as?
list to remind ourselves what we're supposed to be doing every day.
we get that part, but here's the thing, we gotta understand, in all due respect, we gotta be very vague in some of these, because then we put obligation, and then if someone does sue or look at those different things, they're gonna wanna hold us accountable for those things. And then do you wanna get underwriters insurance and all those different pieces too? So that's another piece of it as well. So the thing I'm trying to look at is, I think when we say the word policy, we know that's what we're establishing, but we gotta make sure we understand policy is a big word for us. It's not just one thing. So we gotta make sure we understand, if we say in policy, we know that every policy that we are working with allows us to be able to get to those things. And I think that's the critical piece of a lot of this, so.
What was the line, Dr. Cook, that you said, like, legal requirements and is responsible for?
Right.
Establishing policy.
So let's go back to the first paragraph, the
Are you
job.
GP2 or 3?
Sorry, yeah, GP2.
The orphans, GP2.
okay.
Responsibility,
The same area that Jen was just referencing, where it says the job of the board of directors. So it's now the responsibility of the board of directors is to represent the constituents of Ben Lapine Schools by providing visionary leadership, international standards of excellence, and then while adhering, we could add, while adhering to all legal requirements. I mean, doesn't that capture?
I like that better.
Statutory. I turned down the
Ghost.
fan.
Oh.
I was like, what is that? Thank you.
Oh, turn the fan down.
Sorry, I couldn't take
I
it any
mean,
longer. I
because-
made an executive decision.
We didn't vote on it, Cameron.
Sorry.
No one board member can do that. It takes 4 of you. I love
Who
it.
has dry eyes?
I'm okay with Stan going down.
Okay.
It is cold. We've added that to the agenda now, so, yeah.
So, I mean, so we're ensuring that the best possible education for students with respect to local, state, national, and international standards of excellence while adhering to all legal requirements, and then take out the next paragraph. I mean,
True.
it's,
It's very redundant in some pieces.
Good,
Yeah, great.
So we're moving.
good.
So here's my question, when, if we do that and we already know that we took over from GP2 and we moved it over and we move it in the social media piece. So right now what we would have is the first 2 paragraphs, the social media thing moved to the back. And then where we put this, board members were publicly, I know, right? Individual judgments of staff performance. So, not publicly, excuse me. So where will we put that part at? Is that, because that's not it's not a responsibility, but we put that
That's
as a
more like
part of the
that.
violation, is that part of the violation piece?
to me, that almost starts your code of conduct section. So if we're
Right.
adding a job responsibilities section,
That would flip back over to
and
what, a
then we
2.
start with, we call that code of conduct section.
Would that go back to 2?
No, I think the code of conduct still lives in 3.
Okay,
It just becomes a header now that says
Right.
code of conduct, so it's not just like a continuous run.
Yeah, that's where you would include the social media piece, this statement about criticism.
Yep.
okay.
And then it's board members will recognize the superintendent. So that is the board member authority section.
Did I miss this? Yeah, I think that's right. Did board member resignation, did that get, I think Jen might have suggested that was to be moved to 2 and be changed to just vacancies.
Yeah, I don't even know if that little line gets
Yeah, no, I
deleted,
think-
and it goes underneath the section that already exists called vacancies.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I haven't got there yet.
Yeah. Moving job description.
Right.
Here.
Okay, so this is all authority. Board members are subject to the same criminal history background checks. That's not authority. What
I would put that under authority, I would.
Authority?
It doesn't fit responsibility or code of conduct.
I
Is
was
it a
wondering if it was a
qualification?
qualification.
So qualification,
It's
that's
a
what I.
qualification, because it's like, you can't,
So if you fail a background check, you're not qualified.
Yeah, move it to 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can go with that.
And then it says, if a board member fails to clear the background check, they will be required to comply with the visitors to the district policy. I was like, is this all really true? Like, do we have employees who do not clear a criminal background check in other aspects of this work?
No.
because as
we-
an employee, it's different laws.
Sure, no, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wondering.
because
You
we're not
can't- As an
employees.
employee, you can't qualify, then you
For the
can't work
board.
for us.
Right.
But we do have people who cannot pass a background check that are still allowed to visit our schools.
Okay, got it, okay.
So you would just
And
have to
so-
check in.
Have to
So
check
as a
it.
board member, we could do that. just
So a
as
board member who fails a
visitor.
background check would
Yeah.
just have to scan their ID.
And you couldn't be unsupervised with students.
You couldn't be
You could
unsupervised
not
with
be
students.
unsupervised student, yep.
Okay,
Okay.
And Medford's actually dealing with that right now.
Wow.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor Bethany. Oh, sorry.
I was curious about that language, the board members will not publicly address individual judgments, and then that it recognizes the superintendent. I'm wondering if it's worth trimming that down a little. I don't know about anybody else, but the language seems a little, I don't know, hyper vigilant about boards not directing the superintendent, boards not intervening, board members, it just seems a little, overly anxious. And I get there's some reasoning behind that, but I also wonder if we could trim that down to seem a little bit more.
It's also part of the policy governance model.
I was in
Like, it
a
is part of
webinar
it.
today,
Uh-huh.
and several of my counterparts in the state are dealing with this very
I would tell you,
They're
So-
having it much longer.
I would tell you, most
There-
superintendents would fight for that language. You all are not a problem by this in any means, but I have dealt with board members who that you need to be able to say, I need you to stop.
Exactly.
And we also want this in place for future boards that might.
So my counterparts are saying, do you all have this language in policy? I need it and we don't have it. And I always say, I've never needed it, I don't need it, but it's probably a good thing to have.
There is a
I think there's
paragraph,
something that's important, but I just don't know if it's a little excessive, right? And there's some, it could be something, and maybe it's not that big a deal, but I just, wondering if
Yeah,
there
'cause
could be
there is a
something more
par-
about, there's a chain of command, there's a following, whatever.
there is a paragraph in the OSB policy that is similar, and it's just one long sentence.
Yeah,
And it
It's,
doesn't say board members will not intervene in the administration.
no, it doesn't.
say
It,
that.
it's talking about the copy materials.
I did check them out. I remember, I read that yesterday.
I think it's because it's like, to me, I also read it as like vague. Like, is passing a budget intervening? Is, prioritizing the maintenance of buildings intervening?
sharing a concern with the superintendent
Is that
directly, is that
intervening?
intervening? Yeah, I guess I'm.
Is
seems a little-
signing a
it seems a little over the
con,
top.
signing the CBA intervening with the administration of the district? I think we all agree, like, we shouldn't intervene with the administration of the district, but
So is it it's that one sentence that's kind of hanging us up?
I don't like that one very much, but I can be okay
don't
with
have a
it if we.
huge-
What if
all-
it said, board members shall not intervene in the management of the district?
I like
or
that.
its-
That's better.
I like that way better. Because I think, because I'm dealing
Because
with,
it's all they're trying to establish is
Your role.
the role of
Yeah.
who's operating the district versus a board member saying, you need to hire this person.
Yeah.
Right. Just
No,
seems
I-
a little less aggressive when you say the management.
And then the last sentence there,
language.
formal evaluation of the superintendent performance, so that is already listed on that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
yeah, it's over on, yeah.
This is redundant.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because right now, Steve, I'm talking to some other board chairs, they're correct. They're dealing with a lot of board members not adhering to the thing we're talking about
Yes.
right now.
I
Yes.
read
A
that,
rogue board-
though, is a little distinct in that it's the whole board. It's not
Yeah.
like one board member
Right.
can do the eval. I don't think that's said in the list, is it?
You're talking about the 1 through 6?
Oh, I would love to rewrite all of 1 through 6, but I don't think that we've made it that far in my list yet. But yes, I agree with you. We should be all evaluating the superintendent, and that should be in that list of
I think it's a
our-
different intent than where it's mentioned that you evaluate him.
Mm-hmm.
This is saying you all evaluate him.
Yes.
But one of the other policies clearly states one board member has no authority.
Yep,
So,
yep, it's all true.
So we're striking?
I don't think there's anything wrong with striking it.
Okay.
I really don't.
All right,
Alright.
so now we're moving on to the 6 bullets,
Okay.
1 through 6.
These 6 bullets, the public meeting laws one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's more responsibility.
I had no feedback
It's
on
not
this.
really the public's business. It's the board's
Where's
business.
that, which one are you on?
That first sentence.
The first sentence.
Board members will abide
Oh,
by
Yeah.
appropriate
yeah.
Yeah.
that
Oregon Public
statute
Meetings
says
law.
that. That shows up in
It's-
Oregon statute.
it
that this
does,
is
it's the public's business?
They
Okay.
use those words.
All right.
I would just say board members will abide by appropriate Oregon public meeting laws, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that,
there you go.
Period.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah, strike
goofy
it.
though.
You
You're
made
not
it-
wrong.
And you mean getting rid of all 6 and have just that one sentence, public meeting laws, period?
No, just in the sentence.
Just in the sentence.
stopping the sentence
Oh, I
right
see,
there.
yeah. I mean, I think these 6 could be cleaned up too if we wanted to trim, but I'm not gonna get too caught up in it.
Well, we're there. Let's
There
do
isn't
it.
anything that that I would disagree with.
No, there was nothing in this that I was like,
Right.
this is offensive or language, like it is very clear. And, you know, as we've said, we want this to be a document going forward that is clear to anyone who joins the
Yeah.
board.
So we like the 6 as they
I
say?
I like the 6, but I think for number 3, for me, it's like, I think we could put a period on some of these too. It's like members will protect the confidentiality appropriate to issues of a sensitive nature. We know that already, but I think we can take out some of these words that go along with it. Because we already know we're not going to give out information. We have to keep those things close to us, right? But like I said, I think we can put compromise somewhere else. Because the thing we're doing is, like you're saying, you want to appropriate issues of sensitive nature, to not compromise or put any, you know what I'm saying? And putting us in a bad situation is what it's ultimately saying. That's what most of these 6 are.
I would suggest 5 be one sentence.
Yeah,
I would suggest deleting the second sentence of 5. It is redundant with item number 6.
Agree.
Or delete all of 5 and just end with 6.
I think that's fine.
because it's saying the same thing.
That is stated someplace else too. Clearly, that individual members have no power or authority.
So strike all of 5?
I'm fine with that.
Anybody else?
No,
Anybody else?
to me, it's the first sentence.
Just
Says,
the first sentence.
you don't walk out of the room if you disagreed with the vote, but you don't walk out of the room and destroy it,
Right,
Yeah.
there it is.
you know? So
I feel like that's somewhere else,
it is
but
somewhere
for now,
else.
let's
Yeah.
just leave it in there.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's important.
Okay, so we're keeping the first sentence of bullet 5. Okay. So the next paragraph, the board members are subject to the criminal background. We moved that to GP2 for qualifications. So now we're at, oh, go ahead.
I just hiccuped, sorry.
When board members receive complaints, so is that
I don't know
in
where that
our
goes.
authority? Is that our responsibility?
I think that's part of responsibilities.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think it would go to responsibilities. I was thinking that last night. I was like, yeah, it would go with responsibilities. Because think about it, our responsibility is when a board member receives a complaint, we have to put it to the proper person or go through the chain of command.
Agreed.
And I think that's where we go was right after paragraph 3.
So now we're on resignation. That's where we kept trying to jump to. And this is now moving to 2.
Yep.
Underneath vacancies.
And you also suggested that this be changed from resignation, correct?
Yes, to vacancies.
Well, I
Or
mean,
just take that heading off.
I don't think it's
right?
fine, I think it's fine.
But take the heading is, I think, correct. Good job, Roz, on that.
But your point was, a vacancy can occur in many other ways,
Resignation, right.
not just as a resignation.
So vacancies on the board is the whole heading with both of those. Yeah, no, that makes sense to me, absolutely.
So I think what we were trying to capture here, which we ran into, was nobody really knew what to do when somebody wanted to resign. So it was our first resignation after Steve and I came on the board. It was just
Yannette,
Yeah.
right.
a verbal,
Yeah,
I'm not coming back. And so we needed language to point to.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
no, I think that's totally fine. I think it should stay in. Yeah,
Can I suggest, in the second paragraph, that the board chair announces the vacancy?
Yes,
Yep,
as opposed to resignation.
yes.
Why?
Because if someone dies,
Because you don't know,
other
the,
reasons.
You mean if they were
But this is,
acted inappropriately and they were, wasn't following the policy and they were removed? We wouldn't announce that?
this is
No, just
specific
announce the
to a
vacancy.
resignation,
Yeah,
though.
just,
I think you're just,
You don't
I
have
don't
to
think
say
it needs
why.
to be specific to a resignation. I think we just needed a policy, now that we've got this, we did, because it came to us as a resignation. If somebody just abandons the role if somebody just, or if somebody passes away, there's a lot of different ways.
Or we have to remove them,
Yeah,
or they
Yep.
fail to show up for 4 meetings. Like, there's legally several reasons why we get a vacancy, not just resignation.
It doesn't mean you couldn't be transparent about
Yeah, totally.
a resignation
I don't think
too.
it precludes telling,
Yeah.
you're right, like,
I have to announce the vacancy.
err on
But
the
leaving
side
it
of
broader.
transparency.
putting that under vacancies. And what we got to was, in this particular situation, was a person said, I'm not gonna do it. And so what constitutes official resignation, or what constitutes that?
Yeah.
Do you have to wait for 4 months? So if they won't send in a resignation, do you have to wait? You know, like, it gets tricky when you get into that situation, so.
No, I think the specifics on this, the actual how to do it and what happens next is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, agree.
And keeping that social media at the end, correct?
Resignation date, the last 2 words of that second paragraph.
Oh, yeah.
You're saying
Yeah.
what, remove it? or-
Vacancy.
No,
date.
vacancy
Oh, yeah.
date, you gotta
Since
get
we're
the
getting
date.
rid of the
Yeah.
language of resignation, make sure it's consistent.
Which
Good catch,
I
Shirley.
think when you're working on it, I think she's gonna be able to make it all.
Yeah, I'm just kind of
Yeah.
making some notes so that I'm wrapping my head around.
It's like the 8-person wordsmith is going a little nutball on that.
The next section.
She's gonna have edited versions
I
of this
know.
to you guys in November,
Why so long?
because there's lots of edits.
She's very efficient, she's saying.
It won't take me that long. Okay, so the next paragraph, process for addressing board member violations. That stays with,
That's code of conduct, correct?
Code of conduct, yeah.
okay.
So is there anything mentioned anywhere else about public censure of offending members of the board, how that works?
That's coming up, isn't it?
I think this is it.
Yeah, I think this is just public censure is one of the things we could potentially do with violation.
Right. Yes, and I thought it
It
was
doesn't
early.
explain under what conditions you
Right.
would do that.
Yeah.
It
It's
just says
in
if
statute.
appropriate.
It's in
It's
statute,
in- it's
yes.
in statute.
Explains it in detail. Okay.
Anything else here?
Because I think, yeah, the social media is pretty easy.
It's funny that we have one paragraph about censure, but we have 9 bullets.
9
about
paragraphs
social
about
media.
social media.
That says something.
But, I don't want to get rid of any of those.
A little longer.
Wow.
We went through those pretty
No, I think.
Yeah, we did,
thoroughly,
because
and,
Can see where the district's values are.
All right.
no, it's not just our values.
That was some trauma. we all
oh
lived
my
through.
God.
It was rough.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was bad.
Yeah.
If you buy me a cookie, I'll talk about it.
Oh, I mean, I lived here, we all watched it all
community watched
happen, and,
Yeah,
yeah, believe
yes.
me.
Yeah, but like, I don't think what you didn't receive was the individual, that we got sent to our individuals stuff.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was,
Anyways.
that's the, yeah. Yeah, I know. Right.
All right, 4?
Whoa.
No. I think I was a no feedback on 4.
Oh, I like you.
I didn't have any either.
I was like, I got nothing.
I had a
Sure.
few, only, I know, not,
I had none.
no, I just had a couple,
have-
because there was the one about this,
I had one.
paragraph, well, 2 now, since we struck the first one. This prohibition does not apply to any part of official compensation, blah, blah, blah. Further, this prohibition does not apply to gifts from one without a legislative or administrative interest. When we call out that gifts can't be over $50, do we need that paragraph?
Isn't that part of state, Steve, on that one?
It
Yeah,
did seem
and if-
redundant.
Yeah, and if we need that, fine. I mean, these aren't big ones that I wanna call out. But I just wasn't sure, like legally, is that just a redundant? Do we need that if we say all
I
gifts
guess
are
that's the sort of bigger
$50?
question, right, is like every reference to RS 244, which is the, all the $50 stuff's in
Yeah.
there, like, it's all been crossed out.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming there was some reason why.
Yeah, you all are supposed to be getting paid,
Oh, but that hasn't happened.
and we're
'cause
still,
They're in,
yeah,
yeah.
they still are looking at ways to get that through. That's been 3 years now. I
Yeah.
think.
They approved it, and then they remember they took it back. And yeah, they
They're still
approved to be able
working
to
on
do it, and they're still
language.
working on it. The only thing I have to look at is when we look at, is paragraph, hold on, first one's gone, second, third, fourth, number 6, relative. The only thing I want to look at is possibly, because when it says here, board member or parent, step cal, sibling, all those different things. Only thing I would add is common law partner or partner.
Well, we also don't call out aunts, uncles, or cousins.
Right, that's
Like
what I'm
that, 'cause
saying,
that was one of my
right.
comments, like, we are very specific with the relatives, but if it's your aunt, that's okay, because we don't call that one out.
Right.
So it just seems like if we're calling all of these out, we need to be more expansive in the list, or do we need to be expansive in the list at all? And I can defer to you guys on statute on that one, but
Yeah, it does seem a little.
Only thing I was just saying about partner instead of saying
So
spouse.
it does have
Right.
the
spouse,
footnote.
yeah, partner,
The
Right.
footnote calls out domestic partner.
They do.
okay.
Cool, okay, I'm fine then, go.
But we don't have aunts, uncles, and cousins, so if we need to add that, because right now, we're explicit, but not with that.
And that was straight from OSB.
They're not in
example.
244, aunts, uncles, and cousins.
Okay, so it doesn't matter to me much, but I wanted to call that out.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything on 4?
So I had one on class exception that is specific to me because you guys have had me abstain from voting on a contract.
Yes, that's,
And it says, on class exception, for example, if a board member's spouse is a member of a collective bargaining unit, the board member may vote to approve the contract as it will affect all members of that class to the same degree. So this is just because you've asked me not to vote, and it seems like from this I should vote.
Yeah.
Cause it calls out later that as long as my spouse isn't one
One
person
person, yeah.
with one contract, I need to abstain from that.
This is new language.
Okay, so going
Yeah.
forward,
Yeah.
if my husband's a nurse, I can vote as long as I'm
Yeah.
not voting on a very specific
There
narrow
it is.
contract. Great.
Yeah, if Jan, well, no, that's not a good example. I was trying to think of. So many confidential.
I mean,
like if it was
if,
in
let's just say Oliver was the only person being hired that month and he's the only one on the consent agenda.
Well, and
then
that's
you
in
would-
here then,
yeah.
that if it was only one, I can't.
Yeah.
And so if that's new language, then move on. I'm done. I got nothing else.
I have one other thing, that I don't think we've practiced, and that is after a declaration of conflict of interest, that a board member may still vote or abstain. That board member still has that option? That's what it
That's
says.
also
That's still-
new
yeah.
language.
Okay, good, good, okay.
Great.
I just know that, yeah,
4 was good.
we usually just consider that an abstain vote.
I went through them again last night.
What I also like in the new language is you can't just abstain for no reason. You have to declare
You have to
why that
declare.
abstention
Yeah,
exists. So if you have a conflict, an abstention does not meet the minimum criteria.
So there were no changes to 4.
And why did, like, what happened, all that blue is just, it came from
It's
OSBA?
OSB, so
Okay,
there's getting ready to be massive changes in this
Yeah.
area because the Oregon, I think I've mentioned this to several of you, the Oregon Ethics Commission found that you all have to, I'm guessing by the time we get to next summer, we're gonna have you all do a declaration of you have to acknowledge that you might benefit from being in the role, because if you grab a snack out of like, I'm not kidding, if you get a meal, if you get in something that is not affiliated with your direct service as a board member, that the Oregon Ethics Commission has found that that is compensation. And you have to declare a conflict of interest on that compensation. And we're like, oh my God, Heidi, are you
Oh my
kidding?
God. Monitoring that, yeah, good luck.
And then language is still coming on the stipends, so.
Okay.
Sorry.
Happy note. 5.
Okay.
I just wanted some consistency in capitalizing chair or vice chair in that.
Oh, good catch. Great.
My only comment on 5 is that, we call out the budget committee in here explicitly, but we have the authority to constitute and dissolve committees under Oregon law. We are a board. And this doesn't say anything that's like, by the way, like, this is our only, you know what I mean? Like, this is our only committee, but I would like this to say, the board can constitute additional committees, constitute
Well,
and dissolve.
there's a section right before budget. It says board committees.
Board committees.
Board committees shall be organized by agreement of the majority of the board,
Okay. Okay.
but please don't.
This is a lot of work.
Yes, please. Oh my God, the burden
please
that,
don't.
we have been very lucky because if you authorize a committee,
Yeah.
All of
All
this.
of this
All of this has
technology
to come
has to
through.
move wherever that
Totally,
committee meets.
Yeah.
Totally. There may
Yeah.
be a day, though, when we want a curriculum committee, or we want to, you know, there, and as long as there's nothing in here that precludes us.
But the
From
board
doing that.
doesn't need to do that. We can have the superintendent.
Superintendent do
You can
that.
direct the superintendent to have a committee,
Sure,
but yes, this
but
language
yes,
does
this is
say.
within our,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is
100%.
within our, you know, authority as a public board to make a committee.
Yeah, my recommendation is that at some point in time this year, we talk a little bit about, a little more in depth about committees. And what's, you know, what's the use, what is a good way to use a committee, what is not needed, what do we not need a committee for? Steve, I have to ask, so that in the bulletin, this
comments are-
announcement of the district looking, putting together a, didn't say a committee, looking at, because of the growth in Bend, building new schools? Where did that come from?
That's not accurate.
Well, I did, I
Yeah,
was
that was-
assuming it
so the-
wasn't
Yeah.
accurate.
What is accurate is Noemi said, hey, there's a lot more people in Bend. I want to do a story on growth. And we said, we're not growing. In fact, we're flat.
And then she
We
wrote
had-
it anyway, so.
And she was like, I'm not budging. And
Okay.
so that's the story. And so the one thing we
So
did.
it's not accurate.
Well,
seen it
there's a
in two
couple, of- like
places.
where Paul referenced, like one
Yeah.
thing we are doing is, if you
An
remember the
18
PSU data.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yes.
analytic
So
Yes.
off.
Yeah.
So we're like,
Yes.
we gotta bring somebody in that knows what they're doing.
Yes.
We gotta get a long-term vision on this. I do think at some point this board, you all are gonna be, you're going to have to make some decisions about what's gonna happen in the southeast quadrant of the city.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
we have challenges there. Probably, Lapine will want this quicker than it's necessary, but there will probably be some interest in finishing the second half of Roslyn. But, I mean, if we were Lapine District, School District, that would be the only thing we were talking about. But there's still plenty of, we can
Other things.
move things around and boundaries are fine. But there's good problems, growth going on in that community. And they're
Yeah.
like, we have a half a school every time I'm in that building. We have a half a school.
You hear it from me too. Yeah, well, anyway, the impression is that we're putting together this big committee or,
We are. Well, sites and facilities will happen every 5 years, no matter what.
okay,
Great.
but that isn't how it's being
That's because Noemi was
reported.
doing what she was doing and we could not
Okay.
get her off of that.
Well, I
Okay.
said I've read it in two places and I went, I don't think so.
Are we good with five, or is there any
Sorry.
other
Good with five.
concerns?
I'm good with 5.
Everybody good with five so far?
Yep.
Cool, thank you. I got a question to the board members really quick. I want to go back to maybe excuse me, 2 or 3 for a second. Are we going to add professional development into any of these? Because is that part of our requirements, or is that part of our responsibilities?
Isn't it somewhere?
I
Maybe
thought
not.
I saw
I
it
thought I saw
somewhere.
professional development somewhere in this document.
Yep.
I just was going to make sure. 'cause I don't
No, I think it's in there that you will do regular continuing education.
That's what I was trying to make sure I didn't.
That's available, yeah. I see
Yeah,
that.
it's in here.
Do we want to add, that's why I said, do we want to add that to the responsibilities piece, or if
Oh.
it's embedded somewhere
What
else?
GP is it in?
Well, it's gotta be in the
Remember.
the next
Oh, I know I
one.
read it.
That's what I was
I
asking.
made this big Word document so I could like have them all in one file.
Yes, I did too.
Continuous board development will include,
Where are you?
it's governance style, so it's in GP one.
That's what I
It's
thought,
Number
right.
4.
Right.
Okay, good job,
So that's already there, okay, cool.
already there,
Okay, to make sure.
good.
And by the way, directors, when after this meeting, I would definitely want to talk to y'all about different professional development. We'll talk that later. Okay.
Okay, so 5?
Five's good.
The whole of the policy is good?
Uh-huh.
I'm just double checking.
Don't say anything.
Okay, this is also where, 5?
Uh-huh.
This is also where the annual self-assessment lives.
That's right.
And everyone
it's-
wants it
it's
in
there
there, so
again.
it's gonna stay in there.
Yep,
Okay, I just want to verify that.
yep.
So- All right, we're in 6.
I have thoughts on public comment.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Well, that's at the end, okay.
Oh, sorry, we can start from the beginning before we get there. Anybody?
I didn't really have anything that I filled out.
Yeah, the beginning is fine. I thought.
you want to skip all the way to the back to public comment?
Anybody else?
No, we're good right now. Go.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if we could add some language, I'm trying to find where it is. Instead of signing up prior, could we just put sign up and have an opportunity for people to sign up in the hallway? Don't hate
Well,
them.
that's
We do
prior to
that.
the start of the meeting, right?
We do both.
Okay,
Yep, I always have a sign up in the hallway.
there is, okay.
It just means you can't come up to the podium and say, I want to give public comment.
Yeah, what we don't do,
Okay.
the whole point of that is actually administrative, right? Is to be able to track.
Right.
When someone says, we can't get in the gate at blah, blah, blah. We've got record of name and contact info so that we know how to act the next day. So that's true whether they're walking up. I mean, as long as it's in accordance with regular procedures, we could have nobody sign up all day long and could have 5 walk in and want to sign.
Okay, I think, because I'm always in here, I don't see actually
Yeah,
people
so,
signing.
I either have somebody signal to me that somebody has signed in, or I get up and I pick up the clipboards that are
Got
out
it.
in the hallway.
Okay, and then, the number 3, I mean, I appreciate this idea that encourage of a designated spokesperson for the group. I guess sometimes there are situations where I see people being pretty frustrated that happens, and I'm wondering, is it worth considering, allowing up to 15 minutes for comments or something like that to shift things?
You all always have the authority to say, hey, this is a pretty hot topic. We're gonna decide
it.
to extend. You could even just get on the mic and say,
In real time,
Chair, I would like to request.
occasionally.
Because the way that it's written is typically will allow.
Yeah.
And
So
then
we
it says
do
they're
have flexibility
encouraged
there.
to, but they don't.
Right, they don't have
No,
to.
Yeah.
and
Or
so,
they could sign
you know,
up.
for example, if a group of students all showed up and they all want to talk on a subject, we can say, yes, students
let
can
'em
talk
go.
for 20, 30 minutes.
Okay,
But it gives us the flexibility if we know we have 10 people all talking about the same topic,
We can reduce it.
that we can, you know,
Yeah, I would suggest you use this language as is and then make adjustments as you see fit to allow for opportunities that you, like if we say, okay, chocolate milk, you only get 10 minutes and there's 200 people out there. That's gonna be, like, you're gonna light a fire. under people,
God.
right?
The only, note from legal.
Been there,
counsel-
done that.
Legal counsel was that
Been there,
if you're
done that.
going to give 15 minutes to the pro-chocolate milk, you also have to
Yeah.
give 15 minutes to the anti-chocolate milk group.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, how does that work if we have 10 minutes, so you have to give 5
Well,
minutes
that's,
to?
well, that's typical. So, I mean,
Oh, the
you
typical
can't
word,
say,
okay.
we're gonna hear from this side of the room because they're all in favor of chocolate milk, but
Right.
that side's only gonna get 5 minutes. Because
we
they're
want
against
chocolate milk.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I wasn't
Okay,
here during the
I feel
chocolate
better,
milk,
thank
but
you.
apparently it was a thing,
Yes.
Wow.
a big thing.
But the thing that we would do too, Kim, remember we had the ability, we were getting ready to do an agendized item, and we had the person change the agenda right then to come up and talk about what they were gonna talk about, to give people a little bit more information and validity of what was going on. So we have that authority to do that. So when we say, is there any changes to the agenda? You can make it a change to the agenda and say, hey, I wanna give us a little bit more time because we have a lot of people here who wanna talk about these pieces. And then we just look at each other and say, Director, is that what we wanna do? And we can go from there.
okay,
Okay.
great, thanks.
Yeah, this is good baseline language.
And we used it a lot.
No, I understand, yeah, I understand, I just, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anything else on 6?
That's it. That's it.
One thing I do like about this that we haven't done, and I say this to leadership, is we don't typically respond. And if we're going to, and if that's ever something that's requested, I would ask that we say, as a point of order, we don't typically respond, but please could we, in this particular instance, have an opportunity to discuss or engage or whatever, so that it's not just a from left field. It's very clearly you have the authority to ask for that at any given point. What I don't recommend is you just randomly, hey, I want to talk to them, because it's gonna set up, why did you choose that? Like, declaring the point of order as a part of Robert's rules allows you that authorization, so.
Oh, I've used it a few times, it never turned me. All right, we are to the Board of Directors and Superintendent Operation Agreement, correct?
So I will say that this document, in my opinion, is something that should be revisited every July and signed every July. And I would say, we do most of our organizational resolutions in June, effective July 1, but this we would want to wait until July because we would have new board members coming in. So for example, we wouldn't have captured Jen had we done this in June of this year. So that's just my recommendation moving forward. So we're gonna adopt it now or in October, but then we would adopt it again in July moving forward.
Right.
So that means we will all commit to having a work session in July.
Yes, or you would just commit to everything that lives in this document.
Could we do it during our July board meeting, our 10-minute July board meeting?
You could.
Yeah, you
Yep.
could.
Yeah, just add
Consent
this as a
agenda?
standard agenda
And
item
it's-
on the July board meeting.
And
You
knowing
have
that it's-
resolutions and other things,
Yeah,
right?
And
do it all the time.
if you know it's coming and you have strong feelings or things that you want changed, then we could make those changes before July. And then everybody would be prepared to sign it in July. It's just recommitment too.
Yeah, I think that's good.
yeah.
Good idea. And this is probably one of the most current things we've done. Right?
Yeah.
Compared to the GPs.
And my only comment here was on superintendent's expectations of the board, that number 10 is remaining student focused, because it seems like that should be higher up on the list. I just don't like 10 as 10, because students should be one of our main points of
Would
focus.
you like that to be number 1?
How
Yeah.
about,
I wouldn't.
Or maybe not number 1, but
Maybe
not
2.
number 10, maybe number 2?
yeah, maybe
I
2.
would say 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10 to 2.
Number 1 is number 1 needs to stay number 1.
yeah.
Okay, and then I had my own number 1 or number 2 for the superintendent's expectation of the board, which would be that we adhere to the terms of the superintendent's employment contract. I know it sounds a little bit redundant, because we signed a contract. So
Superintendent Cook, how do you feel about that being on there? Do you think that should be in there?
I think it's wise.
Okay, great,
Yes.
perfect, then let's add it.
As a
can you say
separate-
more of why? I'm just curious. If you think it's redundant, how does that?
It isn't
I mean, I
redundant.
think, you know, I
No, she
think,
wants to add it.
I
Supposed
think
to add, not
recognize the
redundant.
superintendent as the leader is a little redundant too, like by law he is.
Right.
So if that goes there, then I think adhere to the terms of his contract is a really important.
And that can just be added, I think, as
Expectation.
second part of part 1.
Okay.
Including careful consideration of each recommendation made by the superintendent and adhering to his contract.
Maybe, I mean, that first one is like how he gets to do his job every day.
Okay,
I don't even know what 2 says.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. I'm with you on 2.
yeah,
I don't know.
I think 3 is very specific.
I think
3
it's
is,
about transparency.
I do too. And I
Can you
think
put
it's
the word
something that we
transparent?
talked about, when we talked about new goals.
That's just community engagement, isn't that all 2 is?
yes, so should it be worded differently?
I
If the
just, I
wording is
don't,
the
not
awkward
crazy
part.
about the successes and failures.
It's about
Yeah.
number 2? Yeah.
Strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah,
Just call that off.
ongoings.
Existence and gain acceptance and support in the community.
period.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I'm great with that.
Because that's what we were talking about, you know, building trust with the community, and we talked about that all the time.
Yep.
good.
Yep.
oh, there's the professional development statement too, number 6.
Anyone else in that section? Okay,
Wait, which second?
where were we?
1 through 6.
Superintendent.
Or
Yeah,
one
we're
through
adding,
10.
we're
Expectation
adding
of the board.
a bullet adhere to the contract, and then we're moving 10 up in the order. Okay.
Yeah.
With communication agreements,
Can we, hold on,
Sorry.
yeah, I don't know that we've ever done number 9. This says board goals, superintendent goals, and district goals. I don't think we've done that
Oh, we
in my
definitely
5
have
years.
not, and that is in the terms of your contract too. heck yes. It doesn't mean we should take it off the list, just doesn't mean we just haven't been doing it.
So that's something that goes on my plate.
Don't some of those strategic initiatives connect to district goals?
Well, they connect to all kinds of goals, but what
You
would you
want-
say are, like, this is the very first year, this last executive session, very first year that Steve Cook, have ever had a personal goal, number one. I would say that sometimes we call them board goals, then we change them to organizational goals. Those were kind of the district's goals. And there's not really, so then what has been a board goal?
So this is looking for some more delineation between that kind of mess that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
You could sort of argue too that the superintendent's goals are the district's goals and vice versa. Just as it pertains to us.
Yeah. Like, I would wanna know, like, for example, what would the board's goals be?
To make sure you do your job?
And how does that, like,
That's
what does
just
that
our
look like?
responsibility.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
I'm circling back to the bond or levy or, we might have, I'm thinking back to that retreat. Did some goal pop up for an annual goal for us as a board
I had a goal,
to come
right?
up with?
Like, I wanted
Right.
you all to come in and build better connections with our administrative team, right? Like, that's,
Right.
and we did that, I think.
And
It
then
was-
maybe we should have had that goal as well as the board
that's
goal.
like,
Yeah.
I think that's part of like, are we doing the right conversations for so that there is a clear, this is what the board wants to accomplish. This is the organizational goals, and these are the superintendent's goals. Are those two and then one of the same? Are all three of them the same? I don't necessarily think they always will be.
No, they're gonna be
There'll be
different.
overlap.
I,
but I think
always,
it's-
there'll be
it's
some level
helpful
of
to
Venn
have
diagram, yeah.
Those three, are you worried that it's trapping us in some way, or
Oh,
is
we
it?
just haven't done it.
Okay,
And that's why we're
a
doing
starting point.
all this
Yeah,
work. To start
yeah,
doing it.
that's, year 5 is my very first year I've had a Steve Cook goal, very first year.
And like I was telling you, Director, it was that, think about it, we coming out of COVID, trying to wrap our heads around, trying to get all this stuff together, trying to get all those different pieces, we finally are now able to do the work. And I think this has been critical for a long time, so yeah, big time.
I think, I agree with you totally.
Yeah, so,
It feels good.
Fell into 3 pages, but they all signed.
Oh, I
have-
didn't
we
see
have to sign
that.
it.
I thought this was the only signature.
No, there's-
Okay,
It just
never
fell
mind.
onto 3 pages because I need to
Got it.
fix the
I
other.
have to sign this, but nobody else does.
That sounds reasonable.
is there anything else on this agreements that we need to look at, or is any other verbiage or any of the things that we want to look at as well?
Didn't somebody want to come back to?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Communication agreements. The number 2, board members shall communicate directly with the superintendent or board chair prior to the meetings of the board to address questions or concerns about agenda items. Just to get really clear, this is about what's listed on the agenda, not necessarily what's going to be presented as part of the agenda.
That's on
It's
the agenda.
more, I would suggest it's even more vague than that. It's really like the doctrine of no surprises, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna ask a question, you know you're gonna ask a question. You wanna do the best to not set us up to fail, that's all.
And isn't that somewhere else about the
We
no
do, we have a
surprises?
thing about no surprises somewhere else.
I just.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's board operations, number 2.
Yep.
And
I don't know if that's necessarily,
But this is laying it out as a formal communications agreement that we are signing, which I think then it would be good to keep in there.
And you see the specific part, Cameron, on number 2, where it's about questions or concerns about agenda items.
that's what I want to make sure that we're all in the same understanding of agenda items, not necessarily.
Why is this on the agenda tonight?
Yes.
Versus
Okay,
on slide number 7,
Exactly,
I have a
okay.
question about that part
I
of it.
just want to be clear that agenda
Oh, yeah.
items
I see what you mean.
versus,
Yeah,
here's what's being presented as part of the
I would like to ask a
agenda.
question.
Oh, you didn't ask a question ahead of time on,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
no, I see what
I
you mean.
think it's
Yeah.
just,
I
if
see
you
what you
see it on the agenda, don't go to Stephen Duval, go to Steve or
Right,
Marcus
okay, thank you.
before the meeting.
Yeah. Just
Is
wanna make
one
sure on it.
business day enough
Yes,
time?
we're still allowed to ask questions during the meeting.
Yeah, you're right.
When possible.
You know, I like to ask questions.
A business
Just
day
sit
is
there
a
and
long time
just
when it
smile.
comes to that kind of stuff.
So business day or 48 hours, is that more appropriate or just one
The
business
way
day?
we notice the meetings, I try to get the materials to you on Thursdays. So if you're having the questions on, earlier the better.
Yeah.
But if you can get it to us by sometime on Monday, that gives us all day Tuesday to get the information together, so.
And it says when possible, right?
When
So
possible,
it's-
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
There will be the random, or, I'm trying to get it less frequent of Monday night or Tuesday morning.
Yeah, and that's
Even
usually
then
when I
it's
write,
better
I'm so sorry,
I
if
know,
you
me
can't
too.
answer it in time.
Yeah, don't worry about it, but.
Yeah.
And our team really honestly tries. We really do try to
No,
do.
absolutely,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
The
get
last
that.
thing we want is to leave people hanging.
Yeah.
So I have a question under the decision-making agreements. It states that 3 board members need to suggest additions to the agenda.
I thought it was 4.
No, this is
No, it's 3
actually
or
a
more.
really good discussion topic. The board chair and vice chair in concert with the superintendent and Janet's position, which will policy governance.
No
something like that.
policy, board and governance
Governance.
program.
Too funny.
So hard to remember.
Board clerk, that's what it says.
Just need
Thank
some
you.
initials.
You need a new,
She
I
does.
don't, because then it's just a mouthful during the board. And in this position, I am the board clerk. so.
Okay, okay, y'all don't have to
The
say
long story on
Bojanowski,
this
then,
is-
da-da-da-da-da-da.
There was a want, and there should be, is that if the chair and vice chair are stonewalling board members as to get an item on the agenda, if 3 board members request, they should be able to get an item on the agenda without the authority of the chair and the vice chair.
and that's there in case at some point in the future, there's a split board.
Right.
Yeah.
But then in the meeting, one of the agenda items is, does anybody have a change in the agenda? But that doesn't say anything about 3 board members have to.
So,
be
yeah,
one
so
person.
Right.
that isn't the same thing as, hey, I want to talk about standards-based grading.
Okay.
I want to add that to the
Add it
agenda.
to the agenda.
Because number one, now that's not noticed. Number 2, we could, at a future date, do all kinds of stuff on standards-based agenda. And we tend to do a pretty good job, I think, of trying to accommodate those kinds of requests to the extent that we can. But let's say, for example, you wanted to say, I want to have our equity stance removed. And you notice that up and they're like, no, we're not doing that. Well, if you can get 2 friends, then we have to agendize the possibility of the action item of considering removal of the equity stance, for example, something like that. That's,
So in a board meeting, if he says, is there a change, and you say, I want to add this agenda item, then we have to vote.
Yep.
And if you don't have the votes, it fails.
It fails. Yep.
Good.
but there is a leveraging point in which the minority of the board has a pathway to say, I want to have a discussion about this in public. Because otherwise, what you wind up with, if you have a 4-3 board, is 4-3 board will always have chair, vice chair seats, and the 3 that are sitting in the minority will never, ever get to discuss a topic that matters to them.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
not best practice.
And we have big districts that are dealing with that right now, so.
I'm sure we do.
The only question I had on, was board expectations for the superintendent. Is it supposed to be strategic initiatives and goals, or is just,
I think that's just aligning the language that we're using.
Got it, not a
now,
problem.
Our strategic initiatives.
Right, right. I wanna make sure.
our goals document.
right? I think that was the only thing I had in terms of some other
I
pieces.
highlighted number 6 because I was like, God, can I do this right now? Is it possible that I would know all 400 policies and all of our laws? There's some pretty obscure laws out there.
It's a working knowledge, it's not.
Working now, I'll take that.
Working
So
knowledge.
Hanging
if
my
we
head on
ask
that.
for a
Working
question,
knowledge.
you can say,
Let me get back to you.
let me get back to you, yeah.
Well, we have 12 policies or something?
Oh, it's so many.
16,
In
something
a
like
few
that.
weeks.
Yeah.
Right, right.
We're cleaning it.
I don't care for the chart at the back very much. I don't care for it, cause it's like,
Redundant.
there's a couple things on there that are true, like we do review and approve the district budget, but there's a couple
Only a
things that are
couple.
ming, like we
Right.
hire the superintendent.
Evaluate superintendent.
Yeah, so I don't know, like I
I'm
think
okay
I get why it's
striking
there,
Do
like
you want
it's cute.
this if it's in if
really.
everything is there,
Yeah,
I
think it's
don't, I mean, that's what I'm saying, it's like if we could either put everything in there or we could just put nothing in there. Or we could take out the things that are very specific and leave the things that are more directional, like asks questions, decides what, like, that's all fine. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's though, it's just like when we list a couple of our responsibilities, but not the breadth of them, we diminish the breadth of them.
yeah, no, I hear
I
you.
don't know that it needs to be in there.
I'm okay striking it.
I'm
Well, I,
fine striking
like,
it.
I didn't like represents public interest. I
Thank
don't know
you.
That word.
Yeah.
you know, we're more of a-
that helps
We
with
could
my
share or
spacing
communicate
issue.
public. interest.
And then we all sign on the same page.
There.
See, I never even noticed this. I was like, I have to sign this? I didn't even see these down here. I have to sign this. Nobody else has to sign it.
Yeah, no, great, let's get rid of it.
Cool.
Somebody said the same
You
thing.
guys got a lot of work done tonight.
Wow.
So efficient.
You set the
And it's
tone.
7:25.
How about that?
5 minutes to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
There we go.
I
All
thought it was
right,
your summer, I think.
Dr. Cook, are you all done? Directors, anything?
I think that, we're good.
So,
Shana Tova, everybody, to all who celebrate.
nice.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year. We
Rosh
get all-
Hashanah, correct?
Oh, it's, yes, we all get a new year today.
Before we leave the board, all the board members, this board comment right now, would any directors like to have any board comments at this time? Director Olson?
Not at this time.
Cool. Director Lynch? Mr. Tomlin?
Fine.
Fisher? Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for doing the work. Thank you for considering doing all this work. We appreciate it throughout the year. Thank you for the extra board meetings. And we appreciate it. We're trying to definitely get to the nitty gritty of what we do. So thank you all of this. Our next official board meeting will be, will be October 14th at Roslyn Elementary, and we'll probably hear, we need to make the school bigger. Anyway, at this time, this meeting stands adjourned.